On today's news, WWE looking for a huge free agent.
A big old challenger has been announced for Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble.
New contestants announced for the Royal Rumble matches.
And a bit of countersuing has been going on in regards to Vince McMahon and the XFL.
Yes, are you ready? Are you ready for the news time? We're putting the band back together. My name is Phil Chambers and I'm joined by Gareth Morgan for the Saturday news. But before we get into it, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video and comment down below what you think of all of today's stories, especially the first one, which is WWE looking to sign a huge free agent in wrestling. That is New Japan star Jay White. Now, this has come from the Super J podcast. They've basically said that it's unlikely that Jay White is going to sign a new contract with New Japan. His current deal is rumored to end later this month, and he's been with New Japan since like 2016, so he's had a really good run there. WWE is said to be making a really strong play to get their hands on Jay White. WrestleVotes have also followed this up by saying that there are a lot of rumors going around, but like one thing that's certain is that a few of the boys went out of their way to speak highly of Jay White. And they also hinted that that may resonate with some people more than others, with a bit of a nod to Triple H. Now, throwing all that to add into the rumor mill, Jay White has recently liked a tweet from Finn Balor where he put up a picture of himself after the Kyle O'Reilly match just with the words "step right up." Which is always nice to see. And he also cut a promo after his Wrestle Kingdom match with Kota Ibushi, which was bloody fantastic. He cut a promo backstage and he basically said that like he physically feels closer to death than he ever has, and he complained about not being appreciated in New Japan for all the sacrifices that he's made, and like sort of talked about regretting like his time away from his family. He said he's not going to do this anymore. Maybe my time would be better spent someplace else. He went on to say that at most he'd appear at New Year's Dash, but then that's it, he's done with New Japan. After that, he did appear at New Year's Dash the next day, and him and Kenta lost in the main event to Sanada and Naito. So, all of that thrown into the rumor mill of Jay White's contract coming up. Interesting move would be Jay White to WWE. I mean, he is a fantastic talent, top tier heel, but he's also very much not the kind of WWE heel that they seem to be looking for these days. I'm not sure if WWE would be a great fit for him. I just would not want to see a talent like Jay White disappear in NXT and then just not get used because Vince McMahon doesn't get it.
Yeah, that's the big fear, isn't it? That if he does get hot-shotted perhaps onto the main roster, he's just going to get just fumbled, because that's we've had no evidence to prove that wouldn't happen over the last, 6-7 years when we've had all these people brought in from the likes of New Japan, other promotions. I think maybe he could find a place on NXT for a little bit, but at this current moment, compared to what he's been doing at New Japan, is that necessarily a step up where he is?
He's been at the top of New Japan for a long time now. It's like moving to NXT seems like a big step down. Obviously, he could, if he's looking for places. AEW's there. They've got the new Bullet Club thing that they're doing. There's easy tie-ins to get into AEW, but it just, I guess, depends how much money WWE might be throwing at him. And I mean, all this might just be to sort of get his name in websites like ours, to get his name out there and try and raise his profile for New Japan. So it's still all rumors at this point.
Well, it's definitely working, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a good ploy, that is. I mean, I'm Mr. NXT at this point. Obviously, I cover NXT here for us, but if I was this man in this situation, I would be looking probably towards AEW, just purely because of his character, the way that he works, his style. It just seems like a better fit. It seems like a wise choice going forward. But speaking of wise choices going forward, can't help but feel like this isn't one, but we're gonna go with it.
I was wondering where that was going.
Yeah, this is an interesting development which happened last night on Friday Night SmackDown. But before I speak about SmackDown, we've gotta change my little blue light that I've got here from white to blue. That's
nice.
What we're doing now, because fitting in.
Nerd.
Gotta make it feel. Oh, it says the guy with the panda in the background. Is that we're gonna?
Hey, don't diss the panda.
Don't diss the blue. We're the blue boys. Okay, so big thing happened on SmackDown. There was a big gauntlet match, which wasn't. I don't think it was advertised before the actual event itself, which is crazy because it was a hell of a match. Like, we had Shinsuke Nakamura looking incredible again. There was hints throughout this match that he may be turning babyface again, which is, we need this. We need babyface Nakamura.
Best we've seen Nakamura in a long time.
Big time. Daniel Bryan as well looked incredible. Rey Mysterio had a good little showing in it. It was some good stuff. But the big news coming into the match, because it was kind of like the running story, the through line throughout the actual night, was that Adam Pearce was thrown into the gauntlet match because Roman Reigns had a problem with the fact that he booked the Kevin Owens match against Jey Uso the week before. He didn't like the fact that the gauntlet match had just been thrown together, so he was like, right, going to show you, you're going to go in the gauntlet match, because Roman Reigns just wants to control everything because he's a terrifying man. And he came out last. He was the last entrant. I believe it was Nakamura. He was the last person to face him. And Roman Reigns, Jey Uso came down to the ring, battered Nakamura, battered Adam Pearce, threw Pearce on top of Nakamura. And Adam Pearce is now challenging the Universal Champion at the Royal Rumble. My head fully fell off at this point. I don't know what 2021 is at this point. Who thought 2020 could be topped within the first week? But, here we are.
Yeah. Absolutely mental. I mean, it'll be entertaining, surely. I was reading up on Adam Pearce's record in WWE. He had 3 matches with them back in the late 90s as like Adam O'Brien or something like that. And he was 0-3. So not a great start to be taking on Universal Champion Roman Reigns.
He's going to break the streak, man. I'm telling you.
But yeah, there's a couple of Twitter questions about this, which we'll get into later on for more speculation. But speaking of the Royal Rumble, 3 new contenders have been announced for the matches. So first up, the women's match. They've announced Bayley and Bianca Belair. She's going to join Nia Jackson's Charlotte Flair to go into that match. And then for the men's side, Otis has been announced for the match. And he's going to be joining Daniel Bryan, Bobby Lashley, AJ Styles, and Randy Orton. So the Royal Rumble match is starting to get there, starting to shape up.
Yeah, I've got a good couple of weeks as well for these. I don't know how I feel about these entrants, these like announced beforehand entrance thing. I quite liked it on the night of the actual event itself. Like, it's years ago now. We're talking like 10, 15 years ago.
When they had the roulette balls.
Yeah, I love that. Because you could do a running thing all night. People kept coming backstage and going, oh, okay, what did I get? Oh, okay, well, I've got one. And they had the Eddie Guerrero little thing. We switched it with, I think it was Ric Flair. I like all that.
I like it when you just got one and they just did like a wry chuckle and they're like, and then they go off, but you don't know what number it is, but you know it's going to be a good one.
Whereas this, it's just like, I'm going to be in the Rumble. Now you know I'm going to be in the Rumble. It's like, great, cool. But I like everyone involved at this point, so I'm not going to complain too much.
Yeah.
But we've got, there's no way to segue in this really, apart from Vince McMahon is the mind currently behind the Royal Rumble, and he's the mind currently behind a bit of countersuing, because if you remember, I believe it was April last year, the time is just blurring at this point. It's been a crazy couple of months, year, everything else. But Vince McMahon was involved in a bit of a lawsuit because the XFL completely shut down for the second time. It just crumbled during the pandemic just because of the situation itself. And Oliver Luck was fired in April. He was the commissioner of the XFL at that point, and that was just 2 days before the league filed for bankruptcy. So then Luck sued Vince McMahon 2 weeks later for wrongful termination, and McMahon is now fired back with his own little countersuing thing, which is he's pretty much tearing down Luck, saying that he defied his orders when it came to hiring people in the XFL, NXT XFL, that's what I was going to say there. He also said that Luck essentially abandoned his duties when the pandemic forced the league to suspend play, and that was obviously mid-March of last year, 5 weeks into its relaunch season. This is all to do with a guy called Antonio Callaway, who Vince McMahon just did not want involved with the XFL. This is because, like, going into the league, he emphasised to Luck that he wanted players who fit the remit of quality football players with good character. And he didn't class Callaway as that kind of character because coming into the league in the NFL, he'd had violations for substance abuse and for credit card fraud. So he definitely didn't really fall into that bracket in McMahon's mind, so he was very upset by that. And then Callaway injured his knee right before the XFL started, and that meant that the league had to pay him workers' compensation, and if they didn't do this, they'd have to terminate his contract if they were going to terminate his contract, they'd have to pay him in excess of 120k. So a lot of money on the line in this situation that Vince McMahon didn't want in the first place. He was very angry about it. So now in this lawsuit, this countersuit, he's seeking $570,000 from Luck to cover that contract from Callaway and his workers' compensation, and to cover Luck's personal compensation. There's a lot of money here, a lot of figures being thrown around, but the initial lawsuit from Luck was said to, it would have ended up in, if he is successful with it, he's going to see Vince McMahon have to pay him just under $24 million because of the wrongful termination. So we're talking about huge sums of money. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, Vince McMahon seeking $500K in this situation doesn't seem like a lot compared to the actual money that he is dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Look at that other lawsuit that Luke actually put against McMahon. That's $24 million pretty much. Yeah. It's a lot of money. So for the most part, this just feels like McMahon just being, you don't want to say petty, but just getting a dig in before the ship goes down.
Yeah, it does seem that way, doesn't it? But I don't know, rich people doing rich people stuff.
That's it. My head fell off. This is way above my pay grade, man. Way above.
So let's move over to some Twitter questions, which is in your pay grade, at least.
Yay!
So we've got 2 Twitter questions that revolve around the same thing. So I'll just run through both of them and then we can get our speculation hats on. So Craig Blackwell says, with Adam Pearce going up against Roman Reigns at the Rumble, is this the time for The Rock to interrupt, causing Pearce to win the belt, get wrecked by Roman afterwards, and The Miz then cashes in?
What the? There's a lot
Fantasy
to unpack.
booking.
That is, I mean, The Rock's got really good form when it comes to interrupting in the Royal Rumble match, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Like, just the event
I mean, I was
general.
with him up until Adam Pearce beats Roman Reigns for the title.
Yeah. I mean, the Miz thing kind of did me as well. That's, I'm not even gonna. I can't add anything to this because WWE just keep throwing swerve balls and curve balls, and it's too much for me, man. I just keep Roman Reigns with that belt. Get us to that match at WrestleMania between him and Daniel Bryan, and I'll be happy. Just whatever way you're going to do it, just get there.
Hey, if they manage to get The Rock for WrestleMania somehow, I would be very much okay with that. But this whole thing seems to have captured the imagination of people because the other James says, so like Adam Pearce will be saved by Damian Priest after near destruction at the hands of Roman Reigns, right? Or will it be KO? Obviously, there was a bunch of rumors going around that Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns knocked down a call-up for Damian Priest because it didn't make any sense, which is nice of them looking out for people because they know what happens when you get called up when it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. But obviously still plans to call him up at some point. I still don't think putting him right in there with Roman Reigns is the way to go. I mean, you can't win that. And that's your first feud on WWE main roster.
No, and what would the story be? That he's Adam Pearce's best friend? Like, there were rumors that potentially he was going to be thrown over to Raw instead because of the fact that this just didn't make sense, and maybe put him in a US title feud with Bobby Lashley. So just give him something that he can win because we need this. We need him. He looked great in his last match against Karrion Kross at NXT New Year's Evil, which was obviously on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. He looked great, but he lost that match because Karrion Kross had to go over and look like a force of nature. So he needs to start winning and looking amazing, or he's just going to come to the main roster and be a goober, and nobody wants that.
Yeah. And finally, from Frankly Salinas says, I would not mind Nakamura versus Reigns. This also gives time for the Bryan Reigns feud to heat up. What do you think?
Yeah, after what I saw on SmackDown, I mean, it's a massive swing of things because I think I saw Sidgwick remind me on Twitter that Otis squashed Nakamura like 3 weeks ago. So it's a huge switch up of the character. He is suddenly going to become like a world title contender. But if you just saw that gauntlet match on SmackDown, he's perfectly capable of putting together a great match and a great little feud. Yeah. Maybe have Cesaro backing up Nakamura against the Reigns Uso just terrorizers. Yeah, I'll be in for that.
Yeah, he's weird, Nakamura. Like, he's happy doing his wrestling and surfing on his spare time, but then when he wants to turn it on, he could goddamn turn it on still. And there's very much another level that's not really been seen in WWE there. So I'd be up for Nakamura as a stepping stone to get to Bryan Reigns at Mania. And that'd be a fun little match in itself, a weird little mix of styles as well, but I am game for it. But what do you think? Let us know down in the comments section below. And if you want, you can follow us on Twitter. You can follow me at FilmMyChambers, and you can follow Gareth
at GMorgan04.
If you want to watch some more Panda wrestling, you can watch a video about me explaining all about the fantastic Panda. It's called Andre's a Giant Panda. Andre's a giant panda, and he wrestles. It's brilliant.
I just knew there was a reason. This was not just a little comic thing in the background. There was going to be some kind of
I love
plug.
that panda.
It's great.
I love that panda so very much. And yeah, subscribe to the channel, comment down below, like the video, and most importantly, have yourselves a bloody good day.
See you later. Bye-bye.